If I go away and I come back and I look different, that is not me.
You heard that. Kanye West, one of the most famous humans alive, looked directly into a camera and told the world, if I disappear and come back changed, it's not me. Most people laughed. Most people moved on. They shouldn't have.
I've seen what they do. The ritualistic behaviors, the drugging, putting girls in the suitcases, dumping them in alleyways. It's horrifying.
This is Mel Gibson, a man Hollywood tried to bury, a man they blacklisted, humiliated, and erased because he would not shut up. And now he's sitting across from Joe Rogan, and he's not talking about Epstein anymore. He's talking about something far worse.
What does the evil side want?
Oh, it wants you. It wants you.
Who is cloning celebrities in Hollywood? Mel Gibson just answered that question, and after watching this, you will never look at your favorite star the same way again. Let's start from the beginning, because to understand why what Mel Gibson said on Joe Rogan matters so much, you first have to understand what they did to Mel Gibson. This was not a man who fell from grace because of bad decisions. This was a man who was pushed. Think about the timeline. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Mel Gibson was untouchable. Braveheart, Lethal Weapon, The Passion of the Christ. He was one of the most powerful directors and actors on the planet. He had clout, he had money, and most importantly, he had access. Access to the rooms where the real conversations happen. The dinners, the private screenings, the parties where nobody brings a phone. And then, 2006, a traffic stop in Malibu. Suddenly, everything unravels. His career evaporates almost overnight. The same industry that celebrated him for decades turned on him in unison, faster than anyone had ever seen Hollywood move on anything. Now ask yourself, why does an entire industry respond that quickly and that completely to one incident? Why does every door close at the exact same moment?
I had a whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
And nobody was really bothering to explain it to me.
That's not a man who got canceled. That's a man describing confusion. The confusion of someone who got cut off from a world they were part of. Suddenly, completely, and without explanation. He knew something, and they made sure he paid for it. But here's what the industry didn't count on. Mel Gibson didn't disappear. He didn't check into a facility. He didn't issue a tearful apology video and start wearing a different face to award shows. He waited, and then he started talking.
The human sacrifice aspect is alive and well in our society, I think.
He really is. It's just dressed up in a different way.
This is the version of Mel Gibson that Hollywood feared. The one who sat with Joe Rogan, the most listened to voice in the entire world, and just started naming things, not carefully, not with lawyers present, just raw, unfiltered, like a man who has already lost everything and decided he has nothing left to protect. And what he said next changed the entire conversation. According to sources close to the Rogan recording, Mel Gibson did not just talk about Epstein. He did not just talk about the trafficking networks or the blackmail files. He went one level deeper. He started talking about what happens to the celebrities who try to get out, not the ones who get silenced through scandal, not the ones who get blacklisted, the ones who get replaced. And before you roll your eyes, understand that this is not a theory that originated with conspiracy accounts on the internet. This is a theory that has been quietly validated by some of the most credible voices in entertainment for years. Cat Williams said it on one of the most watched interviews in internet history. Kanye West said it directly to camera before he disappeared. And Jim Carrey, a man who spent decades publicly dismantling the very industry that made him famous, showed up in Paris in early 2026 looking like a completely different human being.
Right. It's a wonderful feeling. I really took on a pretty big challenge trying to do my speech in French.
Now compare that to this.
There is no me.
There's no you.
No.
These are not the same energy. These are not the same eyes. These are not, according to thousands of fans who have studied the footage frame by frame, the same person. The wrinkles are gone. The bone structure has shifted. And most damningly, the eyes. Jim Carrey's eyes have been famously brown his entire career. The man who appeared at the Caesar Awards in Paris had green eyes. You can explain away a lot of things, plastic surgery, weight loss, aging in reverse, but you cannot explain a change in eye color without contact lenses, and nobody who watched that footage believes those were contacts. Right. Mel Gibson's argument, as relayed through sources present during—
I'll say this about Jim Carrey, it felt like it was something missing on the inside. You know, like all of his interviews, he had something on the inside that he wanted to talk about and talk from and speak from. That person at the award show just seemed like it was a completely different person. Drop it in the comments. Was that Jim Carrey? Hashtag not my Jim Carrey. Let's keep going.
The Rogan conversation is chillingly simple. He believes there is an active program funded at the highest levels of the entertainment industrial complex that identifies celebrities who become threats to the system and replaces them.
We're not here. This is a
Yeah, if they're telling you that there's no clones, the guy telling you is probably
Not kills them, replaces them. Think about what that means. It means the person denying the theory could themselves be proof of it. It means the system is self-sealing. Every denial becomes evidence of the cover-up. And according to Mel Gibson, the technology to make this happen has existed for longer than the public knows. He pointed to something most people dismissed when it first came out: dog cloning. You can clone your pet. Right now, today, companies offer it commercially. The DNA is extracted, the embryo is grown, and the result is an animal that is eerily, disturbingly similar to the original, down to personality trait.
clone. They've made human clones. They made dog clones. You can get your dog cloned. If your dog's gonna die, you can get the DNA from your dog, get a puppy, and it'll be eerily similar to your dog. They think including something.
So, if they can do that,
and that's very true. So, and then just human nature. Human nature always wants to evolve, do things bigger, better, faster. That's why we have Uber. That's why we have Netflix. That's why we want things faster. That's just human nature. So if you can clone a dog, they're going to move towards humans naturally. And we've heard about this over the years. And I'll tell you this about the cloning with animals. They can clone your dog down to the specific look. The only thing that's going to be slightly different is some of the personality traits. Think about that. Some of the person, because it still has to grow up and go through whatever life trials and tribulations it's going to go through. So it's going to change the personality of the animal a little bit. So when you're looking at these celebrities, it's like they almost look identical, but just some of the personality traits are off. I don't know, man. Let's keep going.
to animals, if that technology is commercially available to the public. What do you think has been happening in private labs with unlimited black budget funding for the last 30 years? Mel Gibson's answer, according to the Rogan conversation, is exactly what you think it is. Of all the case studies Mel Gibson walked through on Rogan, the one he spent the most time on was Kanye West. And honestly, it's the most airtight, because Kanye did something that nobody else in his position had ever done. He gave us a control, a baseline, a before picture so clear and so documented that when the after arrived, there was no way to unsee it.
Personality traits.
Like, we're gonna take your money, we're gonna block you, we're gonna do this, we're gonna take your life. Like a lot of, my life has been through. I wake up every day just to...
This is a man under siege. A man who understood exactly what the machine was capable of and was saying so publicly. He named the threats. He named the people. He talked about MK Ultra. He talked about his trainer being connected to Canadian military intelligence. He talked about them trying to force medicate him into silence. And then he issued the warning. The one that, in retrospect, was not a metaphor, not a lyric, not a cry for help. It was a direct, precise, factual prediction.
Prize to be alive.
If I go away and I come back and I look different, that is not me.
If I ever win any...
He told us, word for word. He told us what they were going to do to him before they did it. And the world watched it happen in real time and called it a mental breakdown. Mel Gibson's position, stated clearly to Rogan, is that what happened to Kanye was not a breakdown. It was a replacement. The man who came back apologizing to the same industry he had just spent months demolishing, and the man who went back on medication he had previously said he would rather die than take, the man who started doing things, publicly, humiliatingly, that the original Kanye West would never have done in a million years. That is not the same person.
Where we know why.
I would rather be dead, not in jail. Because I'd rather be dead.
And yet, here we are. The Kanye who reemerged was on his medication, was apologizing, was compliant, was everything the old Kanye swore on camera repeatedly he would never become. Mel Gibson told Rogan, that's not a man who changed his mind. That's a man who no longer exists. Now let's talk about Jamie Foxx. Because if Kanye is the warning, Jamie Foxx is the receipt. The facts here are not in dispute. Jamie Foxx suffered a mysterious health emergency in April 2023. His team released vague statements that explained absolutely nothing. And then, just like that, he reappeared. But here's the thing. Nobody in the mainstream press wanted to connect. The timing. Jamie Foxx went silent the same week that Diddy's legal situation began accelerating, and he resurfaced publicly, visibly, in a way designed to be noticed, right around the time Diddy's sentencing was finalized.
This is your medication. Jamie Foxx ain't shit. That nigga will make you watch his funeral. Nigga televise his funeral.
Cat Williams, who has been more right about Hollywood's inner workings than any journalist alive, went on record saying Jamie Foxx was involved in Diddy's parties and was missing a tattoo on the back of his head that the real Jamie Foxx always had.
Oh, he ain't even dead. With a face full of freckles. We ain't never even seen Jamie Foxx with freckles.
Now, Jamie Foxx himself addressed the clone rumors at a show in Atlanta. And look, his response was funny. It was charming. It was very Jamie Foxx.
Can't clone this.
I brought you too much original. It ain't enough clone juice in the world.
But here's what Mel Gibson pointed out to Rogan. The fact that Jamie Foxx is out here joking about being a clone, comfortable, unbothered, laughing it off, is itself suspicious. Because the Jamie Foxx who went into that hospital in April 2023 was allegedly connected to evidence that could have destroyed some of the most powerful people in the entertainment industry. That man had every reason to be scared. Here is where Mel Gibson connects the two stories. Because up until this point, you might be thinking, okay, clone theories on one side, Epstein network on the other. Two separate rabbit holes. But Gibson's argument on Rogan was that they are the same rabbit hole. Epstein was not just running a blackmail operation, he was running an intelligence operation. And the product of that intelligence operation was control. Total, absolute, generational control over the most influential people in the world.
To clone me.
Epstein wasn't just some random wealthy guy who liked hanging out with celebrities. He was a bridge. He connected the world of high-gloss entertainment, the world of movies and music and red carpets, to the world of high-level corruption, the world of power and money and influence that operates completely.
The blackmail files, the flight logs, the 300 names, bam, all of that was leverage. But leverage only works as long as the person being leveraged is still the person making decisions. The moment someone decides they don't care about the leverage anymore, the moment a Kanye or a Jim Carrey or a Mel Gibson decides they'd rather burn it all down than stay silent, leverage stops working. So what do you do when leverage fails? According to Gibson, you remove the variable, you replace the person, you take the whistleblower out of the equation and install someone who looks and sounds just enough like them to maintain the illusion. And the Epstein network, with its access to the wealthiest, most scientifically connected people on the planet, had both the funding and the infrastructure to make that happen. A bridge between Hollywood and the shadow world.
And that's very true, because we've seen in the Epstein files where he was talking about creating designer babies and also going back and forth with scientists to see if men can actually get pregnant. So he was doing different things, and he was doing different trials. We'll talk more about that at the end. But I also find it very damning, the part with Jamie Foxx with the tattoo on the back of his neck, on the back of his head. He actually did get a tattoo on the back of his head, and I haven't seen it since this new Jamie has returned, and he does look a lot different. So let's keep on.
And if you control the bridge, you control everything that crosses it. Let's zoom out, because Mel Gibson did not just drop names on Rogan. He described a pattern. And once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. Step 1, a celebrity gains enough power and platform to become dangerous to the system. Step 2, they start speaking out. The person who was screaming about corruption is now smiling on red carpets and talking about how much they love the industry.
Outside the public eye.
Every time it's the same playbook. A celebrity becomes disillusioned by money and fame and starts to expose the reality of what goes on behind closed doors. Then suddenly, they disappear from the public for a few months and come back looking different and defending that same industry.
The playbook is identical every single time. And Mel Gibson, sitting across from Joe Rogan, with nothing left to lose and everything left to say, told the world that this is not coincidence. This is not mental illness. This is not aging or personal growth or a change of heart. This is a program, deliberate, funded, protected. And according to Gibson, it has been running for far longer than most people are willing to accept.
Some of your worst nightmares were real.
Mel Gibson has been called crazy. He's been called dangerous. He's been called a conspiracy theorist, a drunk, a liability, a cautionary tale. But look at the receipts. Look at the timeline. Look at the faces. Kanye warned us. Jim Carrey showed us. Jamie Foxx lived it. And Mel Gibson, the man Hollywood spent 20 years trying to erase, just sat down with the most listened to podcaster on the planet and connected every single dot.
Let me say this, and shout out Shocked. Let me vibe with y'all for a second. It's your boy Jet Ski G. We back with daily consistent content. I hope you're having an amazing day. Take 1 second, hit that like, hype, comment, and subscribe button. It helps the channel out immensely. Let's dive right into this. We actually seen in the Epstein files that he was trying to create designer babies. We heard about designer babies. I've seen it in the comments with some of my more seasoned guests talking about, oh, we heard about designer babies back in the 90s, the 80s. But he was talking about in the Epstein files, designer babies. What did he mean by designer babies? He wanted to create babies that had genetic enhancements to their genome code, that maybe they could be taller, blue eyes, beautiful hair, athletic. He wanted to like recreate their genome code, how he wanted to make designer babies, and then specifically either use those babies or sell them. Nasty stuff, right? We also seen inside the Epstein files where Jeffrey Epstein was talking to different people, different doctors, about actually, is it possible for a male to get pregnant? He was trying to create different hormones inside the male for the male to then be able to carry a baby. He wasn't really taking no for an answer. He really wanted to make this happen. And we seen that throughout several emails with Jeffrey Epstein to different doctors. And we know in the Epstein files, he had a network of doctors. I mean, he had doctors, he had dentists. If girls or anybody needed dental work, he had dentists on call. He had plastic surgeons on call. It was one girl who, I think she was ATVing, fell off the ATV and bust her head open. He got one of the top doctors in California to fly over to Epstein Island, and they actually did this. No, I think it was in Miami. They actually did the surgery on his dining room table, which, and the doctor actually got questioned about that, and she just had the option to not speak on it. I think ethically she should have to speak on that situation. We talked about that in some prior uploads. So this has been going on within the industry. And like I said, if they're doing cloning on animals, and we know that for a fact, right? Like, you can get your animal cloned. You can Google that and get your animal cloned. We're humans with human nature. You're naturally going to want to go to the next level. Like, if you have $1,000, you're going to think about $2,000. If you can run a 4.5 in sports, you're going to think about a 4.4. That's just naturally what humans do. If you love Blockbuster, you're eventually going to say, man, I wish I didn't have to drive to Blockbuster. And we're eventually going to get to Netflix. If you love pizza, you're eventually going to say, man, I wish I didn't have to move for pizza. I could just order it. And then on top of ordering, and then you're going to get Uber. And then all those old businesses, that's just human evolution. So why would you ever think for a second we're capable of cloning an animal, but we would stop there? No, that's just not how human nature works. So when I see these things, I call them for what they are. These tests are being done. We've seen them in the Epstein files. I mean, he's a rich billionaire doing these things. This isn't like an Elon Musk. This is just a sicko who wants to control humanity in different ways. You got to really think, what are they doing in Silicon Valley and different places like that with some of the most prestigious scientists in the world? Y'all drop it in the comments. Let me know what y'all think about this. Are these celebrities actually being cloned? I would say, why not? I believe cloning has been here for over 10 years. I think they've been cloning humans for over 10 years. I believe that they figured out animals a long time ago. But humans, why would they stop? So y'all drop it in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. Are they cloning these celebrities? Or is it just a happenstance? Is this just a coincidence that these celebrities disappear after speaking out, and when they come back, they look different, act different, speak different, and it just seems like something's missing on the inside? It could just be a coincidence. All right, so y'all drop it in the comments, G family. I'll be down there in the comments. Remember, if ain't nobody told you they love y'all, you know I love y'all. I'm going to drop another video. It's going to be right here. You can click this video right here. Also tap into the channel because we're going to drop another video later on tonight. Love y'all. I'm out, y'all.